mosquito bite. That is also not the correct answer. T-cephla is the transmitter of the one is a protozoan disease, right? That we will call it as the African sleeping sickness. Okay, fine. Let us go to the next question. A common cold differ from the pneumonia. In that, how the common cold is going to be differ from the pneumonia? In the option A, they are telling pneumonia is a communicable disease where a common cold is a nutritional deficiency disease. Coming to the B, pneumonia can be prevented by a live attenuated bacterial vaccine, whereas a common cold has no effective vaccine. Then coming to the option C, pneumonia is causative by a virus, while common cold is caused by the bacterium Haemophilus influenza. Then coming to the option D, pneumonia pathogen infect alveoli, whereas the common cold affects the nose and the respiratory passage, but not the lungs. The correct answer is, which is the correct answer, guys? The correct answer is option D, right? Option D. Let us answer to this question, guys. We all know that pneumonia, when you see the coronavirus also, if the person is affected by the coronavirus, he got the pneumonia, right? So where it is going to be affect the lungs mainly, right? The accumulation of the fluid in the lungs. But what will happen in the, you know that pneumonia is a bacterial disease and the common cold is a viral disease. Pneumonia and you can see that the viral common cold is going to be caused by the rhinovirus, right? So here you can see that pneumonia pathogen affect the alveoli of the lung, whereas the common cold affect only the nose, respiratory passage, but not the lungs. So this is the correct answer. Why not the option A, guys? Pneumonia is communicable disease, whereas common cold is a nutritional deficiency. Not at all. So common cold is a communicable disease, right? It is not a nutritional deficiency. If in the class one person having the cold means obviously it will transmit it to the other persons also, right? So it is a communicable disease, not a nutritional deficiency. Then coming to the B, pneumonia can be prevented by a live attenuated bacterial vaccine, whereas the common cold has the no effective vaccine. No, this is also not going to be controlled by the vaccine pneumonia. Okay, that is also not the correct answer. Then coming to the option C, pneumonia is caused by the virus, while common cold is caused by the bacterium Haemophilus influenza. No, pneumonia is caused by the bacteria, right? Salmonella typhus, sorry. Pneumonia is caused by the bacteria, right? Pneumonia. Then coming to the common cold is going to be caused by the virus, right? Not the bacteria. And Haemophilus influenza is also the virus only. Okay. So that is the reason, guys. Option D is the correct answer. Okay. Fine. So that's it for the today's, guys. If you're having any doubt, you can ask me in the chat box. I will be there in the class only for 2 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask me, guys. Otherwise, you can leave the class. Fine. So fine, guys. Let's meet in the next class. Yeah, pneumonia is caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae, right? This pen is not working. Fine, this pen is not working. Fine. Streptococcus pneumoniae. Okay, fine. So let us meet in the tomorrow's class, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Organisms and the animals, and especially we were discussing about the human movement and the locomotion, and we got to know the difference between locomotion and movement. All these things we have studied, and what else we have studied in the previous class, and that is about the muscles and the muscle contraction, right? So hope all these things are clear for all of you. So let me start the class with the question. Okay, the question goes like this. During a resting stage, the binding site of actin for myosin remains masked by, which means there is no muscle contraction. At that time, which means a resting position, the myosin remains masked by what? Or sorry, the binding site of actin for the myosin remains masked by troponin, G-actin, tropomyosin, and the meromyosin. Please take a 1 minute time and answer for this. Take your time and answer for this. Okay. Anyhow, in the Zoom, there is no use of launching poll, and the people who are in a YouTube, answer in the chat. I'm just waiting for that. Okay. So yes, very good. I got some answers. That is troponin. If you can remember, troponin is the one, let's say, this is the tropomyosin, which is binding the F filaments, right? And on this tropomyosin, at the each interval, we can able to see the troponin, where this troponin is going to be released, or this troponin is going to be going away from this tropomyosin during a muscle contraction. Okay, based on that, also have a question. Oh, sorry, yeah, no issues. So now what we are going to discuss in today's class, is that clear? What all the things we have discussed in the previous class, like muscle contraction, different types of muscles and the differences between all of them? Fine. So now let us talk about something interesting, that is a human skeletal system, right? So now if I am moving my hands, yes, with the help of a muscles, but where these muscles are attached? Yes, to the skeletal system, right? If we are walking, yes, again the muscles will be helpful, but those muscles, especially the skeletal muscles, will be attached to the skeletal system, right? We might have seen so many movies like thriller movies and all the stuff. There you can see the skeleton, and maybe in some of the labs also we have, right? So let us talk in detail about the skeletal system. What are all the skeletal system contains? In the previous class, we have already studied, that is, a healthy human contains a 206 bones. Of course, the newborn baby is having even more bones, but whenever the person is growing, the bones will be joined together and ultimately forms a 206 bones, right? So bones, why the bones are very strong? The bones are very strong because of the calcium salts. Because of what? Because of the calcium salts. Is that clear? Yes. Does our skeletal system is made up of only bone? Yes, answer for this. Does our skeletal system is made up of only bone? No. It is also made up of a cartilages. Okay, where all we can able to see the cartilages. There are special areas where the ribs will come and attach to the chest bone, right? So there is also we can able to see the cartilage, and in between the backbone, like in between the cervical bones and the thoracic bones, there also we can see. Maybe you're feeling, what are all these names? Thoracic bone, cervical bone. Don't worry, don't worry. We are going to talk about all this in the coming slides. So for now, you understood the skeletal system is made up of the calcium salt deposited bones along with the cartilage. So totally how many bones we have? 206 bones we have. Okay. So this skeletal system, as I said already, which is going to be divided as a bone and a cartilage, which is going to divide as bone and a cartilage. Why? Which is stronger out of these two? Tell me. Last slide we have studied. Yes, of course, the bone is a stronger one, or the strongest one, I can say, compared to the cartilage. This is a very hard because of the presence of the calcium salts. But the cartilage is not as strong as the bones. It is a pliable because of the presence of the smooth salt, that is a chondroitin salts. Okay. In today's class, we are going to talk deep about the bones. These bones are of two types: axial skeletal system and appendicular skeletal system. See here, in this entire skeleton system, Oh, this will not work. This will never work. Okay, leave it. So in the skeleton, you can able to see the blue colored part, right? Blue colored something highlighted part. What is that? That is actually the axial skeleton. Axial skeleton, which is consist of 80 bones. So how to know this axial skeleton? One is the skeleton or the bones which are present on our head, or we can also say as the skull bones. Okay, so skull bones, again, I'll give you the number, how many bones are present in the skull and all the stuff, I'll tell you. But currently you have to know the human skeletal system is made up of or is divided into two types. One is the axial skeleton, which has bones of a head, vertebral column, which is at the back, and the sternum, which is the chest bone, along with the ribs, which are covered the lungs. Okay, these all are having how many number of bones? Come on, use the chat box. 80. Right. So apart from this, we have a hands, legs, and all the stuff, right? So they also contains a bone. Totally 126 bones are present, and those are called the appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton, which is the forelimbs, which means the hands, and the hind limbs, which means the legs. And where these forelimbs are connected, those are called as a pectoral girdle. And where the hind limbs are connected, those are called as a pelvic girdle. Again, I'm repeating, appendicular skeleton is of a 126 bones, where you can see here in this, you can able to see, right? Sorry, yes, in this you can able to see the blue colored one, appendicular skeleton, which completely has a 126 bones, which are the bones of a forelimb, hands, and bones of a hind limb, legs. Where the hands are attached, that's a pectoral girdle, and where the legs are attached, that is a pelvic girdle. So the total number is, now tell me, appendicular skeleton has a 126 bones and axial skeleton has a 80 bones. What is the total number? It is 206 bones. So is that clear how we got a 206 bones? Yes. Great. Yep. Just give me a second. How? Yes. Now, let us talk about the axial skeleton. Again, what is the total number of bones present in the axial skeleton? 80. Right. So this axial skeleton comprises of a head bone. How many number is present? How many number of bones are present in the head? That is 29 bones. See here, which out of these 29, the skull which we have, the skull itself is having a 22 bones. 22 bones, and there is a one hyoid, single bone, that is hyoid, and along with that our ears also having a bone. Those are called as a ear ossicles. Each ear has a 3 bones. So okay, axial skeleton, which has a head bone, vertebral column, sternum, and a ribs. Remember this, head bone, vertebral column, sternum, and ribs. Okay. In this head bone, total 29 bones are there. Skull has a 22, hyoid has 1, and ear ossicles, each ear has a 3, total 6. Total is 29. Okay. So now, let us talk about this skull bone. Skull bone, again divided into 2 bones. One is a cranial bone and one more is a facial bone. This is the entire skull. Okay. Out of this skull, there is some part which is covering a brain. Brain is a cranium. So the bone which is covering the brain, or that is called as a cranial bone. That is a brain box. Okay. So this cranial bone, and there are some bones on the face. Those are the facial bone. That's it. Out of these 22 bones, we have divided into 8 cranial bone and 14 facial bones. Okay. So what are these 8 cranial bones? First one, which is in the front, or the forehead, let me say. The front one is a frontal. What do you say? Front one, which is a frontal. Only one front bone is there, frontal. You can also able to see that in the image, which is there already. So frontal, and 2 parietal bones. Parietal means, you know, right? Parietal, which is towards the periphery, which means the outside. Here you can see, if you can feel, there are 2 bulgy parts here, or 2 bulgy bones here. These are the parietal bones. On both the side, you have on both the side or one side? Can you check, everybody? This bulgy area you have on both the sides or one side? Yes, both the sides you have, which means 2 parietal bones. Okay. And temporal. So the bone which is present near to the area where the ears are there, temporal. So which means behind the ear, on both the ears, we have the temporal bones. Okay, is that clear? Frontal on the parietal region, so parietal bone and the temporal, and the backside which we have, that is called as a occipital bone. What do you call backside which is present? That is a occipital bone. So out of these cranial bones, we have frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, and we also have a one sphenoid bone here. Yes, the sphenoid bone is very clearly visible over here. Just a bit in front of the temporal bone, we have a one sphenoid bone. Is that clear? And in the eye lobes, we can able to see the ethmoid bone. See the frontal, which is, let me round up all these cranial bones. Frontal, parietal here, temporal backside the ear, and occipital bone, which is completely backside. At the backside, we have a one. Okay, and sphenoid and ethmoid bone. Is that clear? This is all the cranial bones. Next is the facial bones, which means the bones present in the face. Okay, so these bones are as follows, which includes 2 nasal bones. Nasal cavity, you know? Yes, the bones which are present in the nose or in the area of a nose, those are called a nasal. On both the sides we have. That is nasal bone. Because of this nasal bone only, the people are having the longer nose, smaller nose, wider nose. Right. So one is the nostril bone, 2 nostril bones along with the cartilage is also there. That I'll tell little later where all the cartilage is present. And maxilla. Maxilla is there. Okay. Sorry. So on the upper jaw, what we are gonna call upper jaw is actually called as a maxilla. I'll tell you why this is required. Okay. And zygomatics, lacrimals, and palatines, inferior nasal, okay, along with the mandible, see mandible is here, and the omer bone. All these bones, can you able to identify in the slide? Yes, lacrimal bone, again in this, I'll give you the short hints for all these things. Okay, don't worry, many names what to do, no need to worry. I'll be giving you the hints for all this. Okay. But tell me, cranial bones, is that clear? No, cranial bones is clear for everybody, which is present in the front, which is present in the parietal region, and which is present near to the ears, and ethmoid, occipital. Is that all clear? Sphenoid. Yes. Even the facial bone, which has nostril bone, maxilla, which is the upper jaw, and mandible, which is a lower jaw. Just a minute. I'll tell you about this maxilla and the mandible. Yes. Maxilla, mandible, which are helpful for the mastication. M. Maxilla, mandible, helpful for the mastication. What do you mean by mastication here? Helpful for the chewing. Right? So, mandilla, maxible, oh, sorry, okay. Maxilla, mandible, helpful for the mastication. Mastication is the chewing of food. So you can remember it very easily. Maxilla is the upper jaw, mandible is the lower jaw. How many number of maxilla? 2. Mandible is 1. I hope this is clear to you. M. Okay. So in this head bone, skull is done, and let us talk about a hyoid. Okay, skull 22 bones are done. Hyoid, what is the number of hyoid? Only 1, which is the U-shaped bone, where we can able to find here like a mandible. I said, do you all remember a mandible, which is the lower jaw, just in the floor of a lower jaw, which means just below of this lower jaw, there is a one U-shaped bone that is called a hind. Clear? Is that clear? Yes. Next, what we are going to talk about the ear ossicles, which means the ear bones. How to remember this ear ossicles? Just to remember MIS. M-I-S. You see, it is easy. How do you remember the ear ossicle? By MIS. M-I-S. So, M for Malis, I for Incus, S for Stipes. Now you can able to remember, I guess. M-I-S. Malis, Incus, Stipes. Each ear has a one Malis, one Incus, one Stipes. Is it clear? Okay, so now let me just recall all these things which we have studied about the head bone. That is, head bone has bones of a head has a 29 bones. Out of that, skull is having a 22, hyoid is a 1, ear ossicles 6 total. Okay, in the skull we have a 8 cranial bone and a 14 facial bones. Okay, 1 hyoid, 6 ear ossicles. How do you remember a ear ossicles? MIS. And tell me, which are the, use the chat box and tell me, which are the bones will be helpful for the mastication? Come on, use the chat box and let me know in the chat box. Which are the bones useful for the, helpful for the mastication? Yes, M. Remember that? Mandible, maxilla, helpful for the mastication of food. Very good. Okay. Yes. Are we good to go? We have very less time. Okay, we'll finish it as soon as possible. Now we are talking about a vertebral column. See, axial bones only we are talking about. Okay, so vertebral column, which is also called as our backbone, which is present dorsally. This is a dorsal side. Okay, very good, very good. This is the dorsal side, and where the face is present, this is a ventral side. So our vertebral column, which is present in the dorsal side, it is very easy to remember all the names. It is very easy to remember the names if you know the technical words already. So the one which is present in the cervix area. Cervix area means just this. Okay. No. Sorry. The cervix area means where the neck area. In the back side of the neck, we can able to see some of the bones. You can able to feel, right? Sometimes you, after using a mobile or the books for a lot of time, then you feel some pain here. So because which means you have a bones. That is the reason you're feeling pain. Otherwise, you will not. So what are those bones which are present in the cervix area? The bones which are present in the cervix area are cervical bones or the cervical vertebrae. That's it. What is the number? 7. That is clear, no? Okay, the cervical area which are present like this area. Okay, so which are present are the cervical bones or the cervical vertebrae. Now tell me, do you know the word called a thoracic region? Thoracic region. Do you know it? Yes. So thoracic region where our lungs are present, above the abdomen, whatever is there, that is called a thoracic region, and where the lungs are present, right? So just from the lungs, you go backside where the vertebral column is present. Go backside. Ah, very good. Chest cavity. Oh, great, great answers I'm getting. So at the backside, we can able to see same way. You go back in the vertebral column. There are 12 bones. Those bones are called as a thoracic vertebrae. Now, is that clear to remember? You know the thoracic cavity. So same way thoracic cavity, if we are going back, soon after the cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic vertebrae will be present. So you can remember. 12 number, how do you remember? It is based on the ribs again. Okay, that I'll tell you when we are explaining about, we're talking about ribs, no, I'll tell at that time. Okay. So after that, when I was explaining you about a kidney, I said kidney is present in the lumbar region. Do you remember that? Yes. So what is this lumbar region? Soon after the thoracic vertebrae, there are the 5 vertebral column or the 5 vertebral bones. Those are called as a lumbar vertebrae. Okay. So after this lumbar vertebrae, oh sorry. After this lumbar vertebrae, we have a sacral, coccyx, oh sorry. Yeah. Sacral, coccygeal, and we also have all these are a fused one. Okay. 5 sacral and a 4 coccygeal vertebrae, they all are fused together. Is that clear to you? 7 cervical, 12 thoracic bones which are present just backside to the thoracic vertebrae, and 5 lumbar. And below the lumbar, we have a 1 sacral and 1 coccyx bone. Coccyx or the tailbone, we can say. Coccygeal, coccyx bone, or the tailbone. Anything we can say that. Is that clear, everybody? Any response in the chat box? Very few people are giving chat responses in the chat box. Even yes. So clear. I hope this is clear to every one of you. Now, whatever the things we have studied in the axial bone, one is about a head, bones which are present in the head, and also the vertebral column. So now we has to study about the chest bone, where we can able to feel the flat bone present between the ribs or in the area of a chest, between the chest, whatever the one bone is present, no, that is called as a chest bone or the sternum. What is another name for the chest bone? Sternum, which is present in a dorsal side or ventral side. As I said, the vertebral column which is present in the back, which is a dorsal side. So where the face is present is a frontal side, sorry, ventral side, right? So the chest bone is present towards a ventral side. Okay. So this is about a chest bone or the sternum. Chest bone or sternum. Okay. Now let us talk about the ribs. As I said already, in the thoracic cavity, if we are going backside, there are a thoracic vertebrae. By attaching to the thoracic vertebrae, 12 ribs from each side will come to the front. 12 ribs will be coming from each side to the front. So each side has the 12 ribs. Yes or no? Yes. So let me tell you about these 12 ribs. Okay, you can able to see this is the one thoracic bone. This is a one more thoracic bone. I'm talking about vertebral column. Okay, backside. And this entire what is present here is a chest bone, right? Now, how about this ribs will form? From the backside, can you able to see the ribs are coming to the front? From the backside, the ribs will come to the front. On each side, we have a 12 ribs. Out of these 12 ribs, first 7 ribs. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these 7 are directly coming from the backside and attaching to the chest bone or the sternum. Okay, so that is the reason these are called as a true bones. Sorry, true ribs. Why we are calling them as a true ribs? They will be coming from the vertebral column and reaching or attaching directly to the sternum. Till 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on both the sides. Now comes 8th, 9th, and 10th. These 8th, 9th, and 10th ribs are called as false bones. Why we are calling them as a false bones? Because they are also like originating, everything will originate from the backbone only, like vertebral column only. But this 8th, 9th, and the 10th rib, they are going to attach to the 7th rib. They will be attaching what? 7th rib. Directly, they will not attach to the sternum, but they will be attaching to the 7th rib so that the 7th rib will go and attach to the sternum. That is why these 3 are called as a false ribs. Just a minute. Okay. That is why it is called as a false rib. And at the last, there are two ribs which will never attach to anything in the front. From backside, obviously, they will be originated from the, yes, from what? Thoracic vertebrae. Very good. From the thoracic vertebrae. And they will not be attaching to any of the ribs or the sternum. They will be just present like that. Those are the floating ribs. Those you can easily able to feel them. The floating ribs which will not attach to any other ribs, or they will not attach to the neither to ribs nor to the sternum. These are called the floating ribs. Is that clear? Totally 12 pairs of ribs are there. Out of that, 7 pairs are true ribs and 3 pairs are the false ribs. And 2 pairs are floating ribs. Is that clear? So I am going to repeat everything again just for a quick revision. So human skeleton has a axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. In the axial skeleton, there is a head bone with a 29 bones and 1 hyoid, right? And 3 ear ossicles. These are all comes under the head bone. And next is a vertebral column. After vertebral column, 1 sternum. Okay, you guys count the total number of bones present in the vertebral column and let me know in the chat box. That is work for you now. Okay, 1 sternum and 12 pairs of ribs. Is that clear? This is all about the axial skeleton. Is the axial skeleton clear to everybody? Come on, quick replies. Okay, great. Oh, sorry. Now let us talk about the appendicular skeleton. So in this appendicular skeleton, we are having the first bones which are present in the hand. Those are called the bones of a forelimb. Total 60 bones are present in both the hands. Each hand has a 30 bone. So 2 bones together, 60 bone. Same goes for the legs or the hind limbs. Okay, 62 together. First one we will understand what is present in the hand. You can easily remember what is present in the legs. Okay. So first is the bone which is present here. Humor, the 1 bone which is present here in the from shoulder to elbow, there is a 1 bone. How many bones we have? 1 or 3? Only 1 bone, right? So yes, that is a humerus bone. And don't think it is a funny bone. It is not at all a funny bone. It is a just regular bone, but the name is humerus bone. Is that clear? 1 humerus in a 1 hand. And here if you can see, like from elbow till the wrist. From elbow till the wrist, we have a 2 bones. 2 bones. The bone which is just towards our, what is this, thumb? Towards our thumb, this is called as a radius. And the 1 more shorter bone is called as a ulna. Humerus, radius, ulna. Clear? Humerus, radius, ulna. Next, in the wrist, we have a carpals, and in the hand, we have a metacarpals. How to remember this carpals and metacarpals, which is like car pull. At least to pull the car, what do you want? I mean, which part of the body you use? Legs, head. No, right? So we are going to use this part of our body. So which has a carpal. At least this way we can able to remember, right? So carpal, and above that is a metacarpals. Is that clear? And always remember the fingers are the phalanges. Fingers are the phalanges. Total number of fingers, phalanges if we count, each finger which has a 3 bones, 1, 2, 3. And here we have a 2. Total 14 phalanges are there. So now 1 hand contains how many bones? Obviously 30. Let me tell you again. 1 humor bone, which is not at all silly, right? 1 humerus bone, which is not silly at all. And then here we have the, towards our thumb, we have a radius. Along with that, there is a smaller 1 more thing, ulna. And to pull the car, We have a carpals. What is the total number of carpals? 8. Just to remember, I'm saying, okay, don't write the same thing in the exam that to pull the car, we need a carpals. To remember that, I'm saying, to pull a car, we need a carpal. Carpals. And above that, 5 metacarpals. So for each finger, there is a 1 metacarpal. Okay. And the total 14 digits, that is phalanges. Is it clear for you? Is it clear for you? So total 30 bones are there. 1, 2, 3 plus 8. 3 plus 8. I'm very weak in the maths. You have to tell me. 3 plus 8 is 11. 11 plus 5. Am I correct? 11 plus 5. 16. 16 plus 14. 30. Okay. So if 30 in one hand. So sorry. 30 in a one hand. In both the hands. 30 plus 30. Both the hands have the same. There is no other name. Okay. On both the hands, we have a humerus and radius, which is towards the thumb, ulna, carpal, metacarpal, phalanges. Now let me go to the legs or the hind limb. Same. They also have the same arrangement. Okay. Yes. Little difference, same arrangement with a little difference, because we don't have this elbow cap here, right? But we have a knee cap. So that is the only reason. Again, humerus, F for the football, foot. Humerus, femur. Humerus, femur. Football you will play with hand up. No, leg. So humerus, which is present in the hand, and femur in the, sorry, femur in the leg, that is the thigh bone, which is present in our thigh, which is the longest bone, remember, which is the longest bone. And after that, we have a knee cap. That is called a patella. Patella you can remember. If you are a girl, you can easily remember this patella, right? Even boys are also wearing nowadays the patella pant and all. Again, if you want to remember where the patella will present, so patella pant will be wear to the legs or the lower part only, not the upper part, right? So patella, which is a kneecap. And same how we have in the hands, like radius and ulna, same way we have a tibia and fibula. Okay, tibia is a bigger one or the thicker one, fibula is a smaller one. If you're a non-vegetarians and you love this chicken leg piece so much, whenever you're eating leg piece completely, there you can able to find one larger piece. Beside that, one smaller bone will be present. Now that smaller bone is actually the fibula, and the larger bone is the tibia. Okay, and foot, F for the femur, T for the tarsal. They are carpal, here tarsals. Okay, so which are present in the ankle. Tarsal and continued by the metatarsal, same, phalanges. Is it clear to all of you? Femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsal, metatarsal, and phalanges. Total 30 are there. Count if you want. Okay, 30 plus 30. Total 60 bones in the hind leg. Total how many bones? 60 bones are present in the hind leg. Is it clear? Please give the reaction or very good, very good. So just go and check all these things once, then it will be very much clear to you guys. Okay. So the last one we want to talk about is the girdles, where the hands are going to connect to the pectoral girdle and legs will be connected, or the hind limbs will be connected to the pelvic girdle. Okay. So pectoral girdle, if we're talking about, which is going to have a 2 bones. One is and one side. Whenever I'm saying about this, one side I'm talking. On both the sides, we have a pectoral girdle. Okay. So clavicle and the scapula. Scapula, which is the triangular bone at the back side, what we have? The triangular bone, right? So this triangular bone is called as a scapula. Okay. So, and the one more is a clavicle bone. And you can see they are saying something about this scapula, which is present in the dorsal side. Again, dorsal side is the back side, between the second and the seventh thoracic ribs. Between second and seventh ribs or the thoracic vertebrae. Okay. And one more bone which is present is the clavicle, which is present here. The beauty bone, so-called beauty bone, is the clavicle. Okay, collar bone or beauty bone, that is a clavicle. C for collar, C for clavicle. Scapula, which is a triangular bone. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes. And next is the pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle contains two coxal bones. Okay, so these two coxal bones are formed by the fusion of three other bones. Coxal bones which are formed by the fusion of three other bones, which are called as a IIP. IIP. What is this? Ilium, ischium, and the pubis. Again, the coxal bone. There are two coxal bones are present. You can able to see the coxal bones like, you can able to see the coxal bones here, like a ilium, ischium. See, this is the ilium, this is the ischium, this is a pubis. All these three bones together we are going to call as a coxal. So the coxal bone is present on both the sides, right? So two coxal bones are present. Okay, so actually between these two, there is a gap. And from this gap, between these two coxal bones, there is a gap. From this gap, the thigh bone is going to originate, or the thigh bone is going to start. What is the thigh bone? Thigh bone is a femur, which is the longest bone, which is the smallest bone. The homework for you is you have to give me which is the smallest bone. Okay. Tomorrow class, you have to tell me which is the smallest bone. So that's it about the today's class. Let me just revise everything once again. Yes. So the human skeleton has been divided into two types. Axial skeleton and, sorry, not the types, two parts. Axial, not the phalanges. Phalanges are not the smallest one. Think and tell me tomorrow. Okay. So axial skeleton, appendicular skeleton. In the axial skeleton, we have a head bones, vertebral column, sternum, and ribs. Clear? Total 80. Appendicular bones or appendicular skeleton, which has a bones of a forelimb, hind limb, pectoral girdle, and a pelvic girdle. Is that clear? Clear, clear. No, not the patella. You want the answer today itself, I guess. Okay, I'll tell you. Not the phalanges, not the patella. The smallest bone is the stapes, which is present in the ear. Ear ossicle. One of the ear ossicles is the stapes. Clear? Now you're satisfied, happy? You got the answer, huh? So yeah, that's it for today. And remaining these joints and the other stuff we are going to talk about tomorrow. Okay? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.